Good. Oh, systems go. System. It's just your ring fingers are sticky up here. Everything else is your thumbs stick your pinkies.
Right. That's what I forgot. Okay, so that goes there. Thumb goes on pinky.
There you go.
And those go there. No? Yes.
Yes. Almost.
Yes.
Almost? Yeah, the one index finger needs to go below. Both of them needs to go below. Yeah.
Index go below the ring.
Yeah. So now you have a mountain.
There you go. Accomplished. You made a mountain. Continent.
Very good.
If I keep following you, I won't get it. So I had to puzzle it out.
Yeah. It took me months to get that, so you did well.
I one day will get it.
You had it once before too.
Yeah, I thought you did. I did, but I can't remember it.
So thumb. As long as I get the thumb on these, then the rest will come.
Stop with that. Remember pinky. Push your pinkies. And then pull. Use your thumb to pull them. And now you bring your ring fingers. And then
I love that. I want to learn that
Oh,
after I do this.
that's fine.
That is so awesome. Do your kids just love that?
middle fingers like
Yeah, I
that.
think it-
Oh, mine would have loved that when they were
Lee
little.
likes it too, yeah. That's why I thought
Boys love
this.
You gotta hold your pinkies down. Stop with your pinkies down.
it.
Close. In progress.
Close enough. Right, turn you.
Sashi.
Uki. Joshimito. Tramrirablinshi. Nyande Gempadi. Sangye Shindu. Mite Uwa. Gira Gunam. Shingla Chupa Shok. Jamchu Badu Dakni Tapsuchi Daki Jingi Sunamki Rola Penshir Sange Parshok Sange Chudam Soki Choknam Jamchu Badu Dakni Tapsuchi Daki Jingi Sunamki Rola Penshir Sange Parshok Sange Chudam Soki Choknam Jamchu Badu Dakni Tapsuchi Daki Jingi Sunamki Rola Penshir Sange Parshok.
There's this word here. You never pronounce it Jinsu.
They say if you're in class, it's pronounced wrongly, like plural versus singular, or teacher versus student. Just talked about it before.
So I just heard that the other day, so I wrote it down. So when you,
There you go.
because I don't remember this. So it's Daki Jinsok, right, on the paper.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently, when you say a prayer, when you say it, like you're by yourself and you're reciting it, you say Jinsok. But if you are a student in a class and you're the one listening, then you should say Jinying. And if you're the one teaching, you should say Daki Seche.
So,
I can't even pronounce
so
it.
we're
something
in a
like
class, but we're saying it, not listening. So we need to say jinsok.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. That's
In a class you say jinsok, or at home by yourself you say jinsok?
Sorry, by yourself, jinsok, as a prayer. Yeah. If you recite it by yourself.
Mhm.
In a class, you should say jinying.
But you say that's only if you're listening in class.
You're
no?
going to
no,
be
no.
listening in a class.
You're in a class.
Yeah.
If you're participating in the
Oh,
chat.
okay.
So if you're the student in the class, you say jinying.
So we're in. Yeah, I know. Because
Have you learned how to say like the correct pronunciation? You're learning that.
Yeah, I have learned it.
Good.
And it's tricky because I've done it this way
Yeah.
for 7 years.
Yeah.
So that's how it's ingrained in my head. And now, actually, in my Tibetan classes, we're translating it and I'm reading it. So now I have to unlearn
Yeah.
what I know and now relearn. But then, when I'm chanting it right here, I'm going straight back to how I've always done it.
So you teach it the right way?
Yeah, I can do that. I can. Maybe what I'll do is I'll record it and send that out as an audio or something, so you can listen to it. It's close. It's close. Yeah.
Jinying.
Yeah, I wrote it down on your call.
I know. Thank you. I'll never forget it.
So Jinso is on your own and Jinying is your teacher.
Yeah, when you're the one. Yeah, as a student. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
solo. So
There
So-
you go.
solo. That's
So
like
by
Oh.
yourself.
There you go.
and Ying, I don't know.
Good. So yeah, I so happened to hear that yesterday. I gotta write that down because I forget. All right.
Oh my god.
Okay, so we're in class 8, and we've been going through all the stages. So now this class we're going into. Nina, can I ask you to sit on this side? Then I have you in my vision. Otherwise, you're just too far. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, this class we're moving into. Okay, we're becoming a Buddha now. How's that going to look like? Your final stages, right? We made our way all the way up to the 8th Bhumi level last week. So now we're going the final parts, which is very difficult to teach or to understand. If you haven't experienced such a thing, we can try to put it in words, but none of it's going to come close to how you will experience it, So I'll do my best to try to explain, but honestly, like what I need you to do is become a Buddha and then tell me what it's like, okay?
Next week is the homework.
That would be best. What's that?
Not Mark.
Oh.
Did you say you don't have the marks for it?
Sure.
Oh, but maybe you do. Maybe you do. Okay, so what these scriptures say, that's what we'll go over, So this, the reading in this class kind of starts off with, if a bodhisattva says, if you go up to a bodhisattva and they're meditating, and you say, hey, what you doing? And they say, well, I'm trying to produce my Buddha paradise. This is how the reading starts off, okay? And Lord Buddha says, any bodhisattva who would say that is not right, okay? Is not speaking the truth. And, we've done this a few times now, like, why isn't this true? It's not true because of two reasons that are given. One is that there is no such thing as a self-existent paradise that you can create, right? It does not exist outside of your projection. Sorry, it exists as your projection. It does not exist outside in a self-existent way. So he's not speaking truth if he says this is what I'm doing. Because I guess it implies that he's saying it, he's doing it in a self-existent way or something. Okay, so you cannot, there is no such a thing as a Buddha paradise out there somewhere. That would be the point of it, right? So only as a projection it can exist. So that would be the first meaning of saying, okay, it's not true if you say I'm just making my Buddha paradise. Because you cannot make it in a self-existent way. The second meaning that they say it has is that words are also empty. So the word paradise, the word Buddha paradise is empty of self-nature. Okay? So when I say paradise, I have a mental image of paradise. I see a certain thing. Okay? If I tell my daughter paradise, Buddha paradise, it would look very different to her. Okay? So, which implies there's no inherent meaning in a word, paradise. It'll be understood differently by anybody. Right? So it's empty of self-nature. There is no fixed paradise, and it's just syllables that we then put a meaning on, according to, in my case, the karma that I have in that moment. As I hear the word paradise, I impute that on those syllables, and that's what paradise means to me. Right? Make sense? Yeah. Okay. So, and that's with everything, right? With everything. With a cup, with a whatever, anything, with a person. So, same with the word paradise. So, any word is empty. Any word we project the meaning onto it. Okay. Say Dakpe Shinkan. So Dakpe means pure. Shinkan means realm. So pure realm is the translation. And Geshe Michael just thinks that that's where the Japanese schools get their name from. That's why I was just asking you, is it a Japanese school? But in Chinese too. Yeah, I guess. So Pure Land Buddhism. From that expression, Dakshin means pure field. And Dakshin, it's the Buddhist name for heaven of paradise. And there's lots of other names for that, like Ganden, Tushita, Okmin. It's the most general name. So what we're doing is we're going to discuss specifically how Maitreya, who is the upcoming Buddha, gets to his paradise. And there's a couple ways of looking at this. There's a 6-step way and a 7-step, so we're looking at both of them to try to make sense of it. So the first way that we're going to describe is called Sipa Teme Jangsen. Okay. And Sipe is a synonym for samsara. Teme means final, and Jangsen means bodhisattva.
Can you repeat that, please?
Yes. Sipa means samsara, suffering realm, right? Teme means final, and Jangsen means bodhisattva. So this is the 6-step description of how to get to paradise. Okay? So this is the bodhisattva at his final moments of the samsaric life in his non-Buddhist existence, flopping over into becoming a Buddha. flopping into getting their Buddha paradise. So Ganden Lashuk. Ganden is that heaven called Ganden, Tushita in Sanskrit. So it means the heaven of bliss. Jason Kappa, he named monasteries, the Ganden monastery in Lhasa after that. And then the Gelugpa lineage, this lineage that we're studying, came out of that, right? And Jason Kappa's students also opened other monasteries called Sera and Drepung. And those became the three big monasteries in Lhasa in Tibet. And sometimes the Gelugpa lineage, the lineage that we are in, sometimes we're called the Gandenpas too. So we're named after the paradise, right? That's kind of nice. Okay. So the first step is that, the first step is he's a bodhisattva at the final moments in samsara, okay? Then the second step is he is staying in Ganden paradise, okay? He goes there and he leaves an emanation of himself there.
What was the first one again?
The first one is just that he's a bodhisattva at the final moments. The second step, he is staying in Ganden, in the heaven of bliss. The third step is he's leaving his emanation there. And then he's moving up to Akmen. Akmen Lachuk Mondudze. So Akmen is another paradise, and Ak means below, and Min means none. So it means below none, which means it's the highest paradise. Okay.
That's step 4.
That is step 4. Yeah. So you can't. Okay, so this is paradise, right? So he reached paradise now. His Dharmakaya, which is the emptiness of the Buddha's mind and the Buddha's mind itself. So he makes this manifest, okay? After he came from Ganden, he flopped over into Akmen, and there, he became his Dharmakaya. But they don't say here he grew this Dharmakaya or he developed it, he generated it. They can't say that. You can't say that because Dharmakaya is the emptiness of a Buddha, right? So you can't generate emptiness because remember it's a lack. So it's tricky.
So you use the word manifest. Is that like become?
Yeah, he realizes it, I guess.
When manifest to me just means makes visible. So it's like it's always there, it's unchanging. Now you're aware of it. It's an awareness of what's there already. That's what I see. Manifest. It's not that it wasn't there before, but now it manifests to the perceiver.
Yeah, I think you could say that. But see, the emptiness. Remember we spoke about the emptiness of the wall last week? Do you remember? it goes out of existence, right? So say I'm becoming a Buddha. So the emptiness of how I know myself as Mariska will go out of existence. As soon as I become a Buddha, it doesn't exist anymore. Now an emptiness manifests of the self. I don't know, it's so tricky to speak, but it's no longer Mariska. Mariska's gone, so the emptiness of Mariska is gone too. So now, you flop over into I don't know what you can say.
I don't even think it wouldn't. I wonder if there's even a flopping over. I have the impression there's like a evaporation of the other, and this is underlying. This is the underlying emptiness. This is the fundamental base.
Mm-hmm.
What you say, and it becomes perceivable.
I think that's okay. Yeah. What happens is that you've eliminated all the other stuff, right?
Right. Yes.
So you don't see that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
You've eliminated all your afflictions and causes for afflictions. Okay, so then then what's left? Yeah, it's bliss.
So what are you calling that then? When everything else is gone, are you calling that emptiness?
No, I mean it's a shift in projection. Then yeah, let's go through the class and see if that gets answered. It's tricky to talk about.
The view is that there is no more you.
There's no more you as you knew yourself. Yeah.
View.
Sorry? There's no more view?
View. So, for you, the view or the you that was is now the view that was is there is no view. That was just all an illusion.
It was just a view.
It was a functioning illusion.
Illusion, yes.
A functioning illusion. So let's move forward to see if this becomes more clear as we go through. So you realize your Dharmakaya, emptiness body, essence body. Then you, or Maitreya in this case, from Akmen, then moves back to Ganden, re-enters that emanation that he left there. From there, enters the mother's womb, which is first of the 12 deeds. There's 12 deeds of a Buddha, and they actually are not part of this class, but I'm going to say them anyways, so you get another list, but you don't need to write them down. You can just listen. So 12 deeds of a Buddha. So yeah, he enters the womb of his mother and then acts out all the other deeds. So you gotta be clear on when I say acts out, right? When we go through this list. So those 12 deeds are you descend from Tushita, you get conception in the womb, birth, then you'll be training in arts and crafts and sciences, marriage with the son in royalty, then renunciation happens next. After renunciation, after leaving the home life, austerities are practiced. What are austerities?
Denial. Sensory denial.
Not what I'm looking for. No. Maybe
Well-
I'm pronouncing it wrong. Maybe you've seen like in India or footage of India where they have these holy men that hold up their hand for 20 years or hang stuff on their, penis, like heavy things, and that's their practice. Have you ever?
Oh yeah, and they stand forever. And
They'll stand
all
on one
their-
leg for
yeah.
years.
Yeah.
This is practicing austerity, so they believe that this will bring them to enlightenment. Okay, so this is part of this list. That's what you go through. You practice those austerities. Then you renounce them because they're not working. Then sitting on their tree, you get victory over the three poisons, which are the ignorance, ignorant aversion, ignorant desire, ignorance itself. Then you reach enlightenment in the meditation, and you teach the Dharma, and you pass on. So that's kind of the cycle that you go through. So, Serena, you were in the bathroom, but this was the 12 steps that you go through. It's not in the class, but I'm just adding it in. And of course, for you, it doesn't have to look exactly this way, but it's kind of a guideline. Your Bodhi tree might be, I don't know, your meditation room. Who knows, right? It just kind of to give you this idea of what those steps are. But with the main idea is that you're acting them out, meaning you don't need to do them. You don't need to practice austerities. You don't need to renounce them. You're already a Buddha. So Shakyamuni Buddha went through all these things just for us. So he could teach us these are the things you can do and become enlightened, and it's doable, like that.
Where did it all stem from, this austerity thing? Was it
Austerity?
the list of standing on one leg and all these strange? Did it just evolve from one being saying we must do this in order for this?
I guess. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't really know.
Type of a yogiism, I think, Hindu yogiism.
Yeah,
Big
if you go
tradition of that.
to India, you see it all over the place, but I don't know who started that, or it doesn't matter because we're not doing it. We're not going to do it, so we don't have to waste our time unless you want to do it to teach us, that we shouldn't be doing it.
That's not what to do.
But yeah, we can save ourselves some time by not standing on the leg for 5 years.
So enter the mother's room was a sixth step. That's
So yeah, fifth step.
that's the
So-
fifth one.
What's the fifth step?
Enters the mother's room.
Enters the mother's womb.
Yeah, so he re-enters the emanation he left at Ganden, and then he enters the mother's womb. And then the sixth one is, he acts out the other deeds that I just mentioned.
What do you mean by re-enters mother's womb? Literally or figuratively, or it's reborn again?
Gets reborn again in order to teach, all of us. Yeah. So this was the 6 steps. Now we're going to put it in a different way, in 7 steps. Which might be easier or not, I don't know. So the first step in the second way of looking at it is that the first moment of enlightenment, you achieve the Atman paradise, okay, the highest, the pure land paradise. So there are specific practices to create this paradise that we can do right now, which is really to create your paradise, to put the karmas in place for that, is to keep things orderly around you, to keep your house clean, maybe help clean, if you have a Dharma center, help clean your Dharma center, help organize things. Or here, after class, we often put all the mats out. Like that would be part of that, creating your Buddha paradise by doing acts like such. Yeah, when I look at my house, I'm thinking, oh, I don't know if there's any hope for me because it's such a dump with the kids. Yeah, but my meditation room is pretty nice.
So as we
You wouldn't
vacuum
want
at
to do
home-
that for children.
Sorry?
I mean, that would be, you wouldn't want to do that for children. Like, you wouldn't want to order it.
No.
It's like the antithesis of healthiness, right? Like
It's nice to have a clean home, though.
clean is one thing, but ordered,
Yeah.
is sending messages that creativity and chaos and all the things that happen in there, to order that is, you wouldn't want to do that.
I think there's different ways to look at it. But yeah, no, I think it's nice because your intention behind it is very sweet, that you want, what's best for your kids, and your view is, no, it should be chaotic. Let them, tap into their creativity. That's great. But if you are vacuuming the house, for instance, you can indeed put that thought in the back of your mind. Okay, I am cleaning my mind. I'm creating my paradise, right? And I offer that. You can dedicate it to that, to make that more powerful, right? When you bring awareness to it, you can use that as a practice.
It's very motivating.
It is, yeah.
And
it is.
I never clean.
I clean all the time.
I don't.
Well,
That's probably why it seems good chaos to you. There's a spectrum,
And I find there's a very difference between cleanliness and order. You see, cleanliness
There can be.
is one thing. Order is different.
I have a question regarding that, because I'm listening. Where does the perception of emptiness fall in all of that? Because I'm listening to not cleaning all the time,
No, I don't clean all the time.
Well,
clean.
These are our
Clean.
projections.
obsessive
Oh, anyhow.
compulsive clean, like I'm,
Yeah,
I'm
both-
just a
both are valid,
Where?
Mhm.
Sorry.
both are valid. What Serena's saying is perfect. So in Serena's world, what she's doing is great, and the way that Carol sees her things is perfect too. It doesn't need to look a certain way, but it's important to just bring awareness to what you're doing, and then use what you can as a path to enlightenment, and that can look so many different ways.
Yeah. It's using our experience using it as a path itself, and that's the beauty of it, right? It makes it very profound. The most simple thing, the most simple thought, if we really think about it, and deepens our understanding of emptiness at the same time.
I think so. Yeah, and when you do the dishes or whatever, offer it out, like the beautiful shining glass. Offer the bliss of something clean out to all beings. So you can. The goal is to become aware with every little thing you do, and use it all as a path, and it becomes more and more blissful. All of a sudden, when you have never felt like cleaning, it just becomes this great joy, because you're creating such great virtue, rather than just going through the motions. Oh, I gotta do it. It's different. There's a difference if you have that attitude, or if you're like, I'm cleaning my mind. It's different, right? Yeah. Okay. So that's what you're doing.
That's the first step.
First step, you are chief. Yeah, you
Or
are
cleaning.
chief. You're Atman.
By cleaning.
For
Or
cleaning.
being aware of your cleaning. Or not
Well,
cleaning.
Keeping the environment.
it's
Clear.
definitely contributing to that, right? There's a specific karma of taking care of physical places, done with the right motivations. So it's kind of beautiful. So then number 2, so you achieve, you prioritize in number 2, and this is all really quickly, okay? You achieve you directly perceive the totality of all knowable things. And we'll get to that. Then the third is you reach your final limit, and this refers to the third suffering. Now, I don't know if anybody remembers what the sufferings are. One sec.
Okay.
I said you received the final limit, which refers to stopping your third suffering. And there's 3 sufferings. So the first suffering is what?
Suffering of suffering.
Suffering of suffering, which is what?
It's actually, gosh, but that's what we perceive directly as difficult. I have a hard time. I have tangible, that very tangible suffering. I'm sorry. Tell me the answer.
No, that's fine. It's a good answer, but you can think of it in a simple way, like backache, headache, stuff like that. Mental suffering. Any of that is the suffering of suffering. That's the first suffering.
Mental suffering.
But you've overcome this already a long time ago but we are talking about you stopped your third suffering, right? This one you've already overcome at this time. That makes sense, right? The second suffering is what?
Suffering of change.
Suffering of change. Yay. Good. Which is what?
Oh, we hate change.
We hate change.
It hurts. It bothers me.
Transition.
I want things to stay the same.
Everything's gonna eventually die.
Yeah. Everything good must change. Nothing will last. Everything has the end. Everything has something bad attached to the end, I have a nice cup of tea, which I enjoy so much, but it's going to end. I need to get Hogan to get me another one.
Next week.
But like that with everything. Everything is suffering in that sense. Nothing lasts. So then the third one, which is the one that we're now fully eliminating at this point.
Oh, it's not so.
What's the third suffering?
It says here, aging and death. No?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I looked at the notes. Excuse me.
Yeah, look at the notes. I'd like to use your brain. You were doing good. So
But I
you don't
didn't have
need
the other ones aren't in the notes. I knew
Right. Yeah, very good. That's good. Yeah, so the third suffering is the all-pervasive suffering.
it.
That means we're all aging, we're all going to die.
So it's another end.
It's another end. Yeah, so it refers to the condition of, this overall aging and dying. So you're overcoming this third one now, which is pretty cool. So you're reaching Achman, and now all of a sudden you don't have to age and die anymore. And step number 4 is you bring forth your Dharmakaya. So your emptiness body. Number 5, you become enlightened towards all dharmas, towards all things. Which means you simultaneously see the emptiness of every object as well as the deceptive reality. Then the physical body of the bodhisattva flops over into the enjoyment body, which is a rainbow body. Okay? So in step 4, he said you got rid of that. So now we are getting rid of it, and it's transformed into a rainbow body. So you no longer have this thing. Okay?
And no more suffering.
And we're celebrating.
Suffering.
No, but you weren't suffering like that anymore for a while. But now you don't have that last suffering anymore. You don't have the aging and death. So your samsaric body transformed into a visible body, but not in the way that a human body is, right? So it's not made of atoms. It's a pure rainbow body.
I can't see the emptiness in this. If it's empty, then why is there now a rainbow body?
That's how you see yourself as. That's your projection now.
Isn't emptiness outside of the projections?
This is how. Well, you are forced now to perceive yourself as a rainbow body.
So it's still another perception.
Still not a perception. Yeah.
So perceptions
But
never stop.
No,
No.
no, but they change, right? So in this case, you're seeing all things at the same time. You're outside of time and space, so it's hard to relate to something like that if you're not a Buddha. So, but yeah, you don't have to have a rainbow, a physical body anymore. You see yourself now as a rainbow body.
So when you say you see emptiness directly,
Yeah.
is that just for us because we can't understand what that really is? But maybe there is a positive quality attached to it. You see something that is indescribable in words, but we're calling it emptiness for lack of a better way of describing it.
The rainbow body to me sounds more like a multi-dimensional being rather than a being like we call it like a human being.
Mhm.
It's like a different type of being that we don't.
So this is the being that lives in this paradise. Then the next step is that you achieve the cause for what will be in the next moment. Because again, this is all like happening pretty much at the same time. You are now able to emanate. Okay, so you start to be able to send out countless of emanations out. Okay,
After this.
out
So
to help all beings, which is a result of the enjoyment of the body. Is the next flop over. So now you're able to do that. Okay. And so all these emanations can take on whatever form, yeah. Including the ones that now pretend again to become enlightened, but they already are. But it can come in any kind of way, whatever is needed. And it's instantaneous. Like Buddha does not need to think, oh, Tunjit's having some difficulty, let's appear. No, it's not like that. It's like, the way they describe it is like the reflection of a moon in water. If there's a body of water, the moon will reflect in it. The moon doesn't need to think about it. Oh, there's some water, let's reflect. No, it's not like that. So in that way, emanations are just happening. Okay. So the basic deeds, those 12 steps are very similar to one another. Right?
So if they're going out and helping people, so I can just keep asking for help, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and that's still not based on my karma.
Well,
Yes, no,
it is.
it is still.
Yeah.
Even if they want to help me and I'm asking for help, it's not my karma. I'm not gonna
If
get
you don't have the karma, they can't help you. You need to have the karma for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because if it didn't depend on your karma, then all the Buddhas that have come before would have already fixed everybody and everything, right? If they could. But they can only teach and they can appear to you in ways that will be exactly what you need in order for you closer to enlightenment. Right? So they don't see your suffering really as suffering. They feel sorry for you. They have holy compassion, but they also know that everything's needed for you to make it all the way, right? And when you become a Buddha yourself, and you look back and you're like, wow, every suffering that I've had was so worth it, in order to get me to this place. Yeah. And it's rare, right? It's rare that we receive these teachings. It's rare to have a Buddha come to the world and teach. Apparently there's many worlds that are not ripe for this kind of teachings. The Mahayana teachings, the highest teachings, many that are not ripe for Tantra, which are the highest teachings that can. Mahayana is like the highest middle way. Tantra is like a little bit above that, where you can, if you apply all what you've learned, you can reach enlightenment in one lifetime. So this is very, very rare. And they make the comparison to this flower. I don't know. This flower apparently blooms once every 1,000 years in India, and they say this is how rare it is to receive teachings like this. So why doesn't the truth of suffering exist in a Buddha paradise? It's a question on your homework. Why? Why doesn't the truth of suffering exist in a Buddha paradise?
Truth of suffering?
Yeah, the first.
We've eliminated all our karma.
Yeah, you've eliminated all the causes in order to feel suffering, right? So you can't suffer anymore. You can't. So then there's this debate that Ackman is just another place, so why wouldn't there be suffering? But the thing is that, where is Ackman? Nowhere.
Well, it's everywhere.
Everywhere, nowhere. Harjit says in your mind. So it is wherever your mind is. Yeah. So right now you could sit here and be in Buddha paradise. You can't.
You said something a moment ago about all suffering leads you here. So what did you say?
Yeah.
You said, I believe that. What did
Yeah,
was it you
I said that, when you become a Buddha, you see that all the suffering that you had to endure
is necessary.
is necessary and was worth it. Worth it.
So completely. So when I'm in pain, that's what I should be thinking.
Can.
I don't think should is a good word.
You definitely.
You're invited to.
Well, because what you're doing is you're purifying, right? When you suffer, you purify. So when you purify, you get closer to enlightenment. And that's what we're doing. And we're actually talking about how to purify today too. So it could be. So what is making your world lousy right now is the karma that you did in the past, all the actions in the past, right? And the actions in the past is screwing up your present, okay? And then it's now that's screwing up your future. So the mental afflictions, that is what's causing suffering. Yeah, that's keeping you cycling in samsara. Yeah. And the root of that being ignorance, right? Believing that things are not your projections. So it's simple. Like if you can figure out how to get rid of your old karma and a way to get rid of your mental afflictions, which is the only way to create more bad karma, then you would be in paradise, right? So you can do this. That's the whole purpose of coming here. So what are causes for paradise? Causes for paradise, there's two. One is called Munlam and the other one is called Gewa. Say Munlam and Gewa. Munlam is prayer. And it's really, prayer means like you're collecting virtue. You have intention, statement of intention. Gewa is virtue, good deeds. So you're having virtuous intention and you're doing virtue, and this is what's causing you to not suffer anymore. Does that make sense?
The prayer is prayer like a chant or like the Lord's Prayer?
It can look so many different ways.
All right,
Bye.
Or it could be just like a confessional prayer, or
I
please
think,
help me God. Any of those will do.
yeah, but the intention is important, right?
Right.
I mean, I remember in my family, we'd pray every day for our food growing up, but my dad would always say the same 3 sentences, and I knew that none of us would even think about it anymore. You just say it quickly so you can eat, right? So I wouldn't think that that would be virtuous because there's no thought behind it, there's no gratefulness, there's nothing. It's
Rote learning.
just like this routine, this, I don't know, something that has no more meaning, right? So I wouldn't call that, even though, officially we call it, in Dutch we call it a prayer, but I don't personally think of that as a prayer. I would think of a prayer as something that you have an intention behind it and you really wish for something, virtuous, something to help you or help other people, and then it becomes virtuous. When you pray and you start crying, that's a good sign that you mean it. That's what I'm trying to say. Mean it. Don't just go through the motions and yeah. So if you have that intention and you do the good deeds, then you are creating the causes for happiness. To become a Buddha, right? And your paradise can be right here in Vancouver. And then when you start to understand them, to soon remember the story about where the Buddha's fingers got cut off, you will not be angry because you understand that his fingers got cut off because of your karma. You hurt other people, so now you're being hurt. So how can you even be angry about that to anybody? You put that in place yourself. So, this is nice to hear in theory, you can probably relate, understand. But can you apply it, when the next person starts yelling at you or cutting your fingers off? We can wish all these beautiful things, wish everybody to be happy, and then the next time, our colleague gets promoted or something, we get jealous. So how pure are your intentions when you say these things? I think it's a good thing to think about, but yeah, wisdom has to get the upper hand, and then it will start to click. At some point when someone is yelling at you, it starts to click. You remember, that you have created it and that you're not going to respond in kind. It will happen when you get into that habit more and more, when you get more and more knowledge and you have the awareness, right? So that's how you get rid of mental afflictions. To not do them.
Practice.
Yeah, practice.
And
To not respond in kind, right?
Yeah.
So you can get rid of this past karma. We have the 4 forces. You must have heard those before. We're gonna go over them. This is how to purify. Okay. Have you heard these before, Carol? You don't know?
I might remember.
Okay. So you know them, yeah. Okay, so then you can tell me what's the first force.
Don't know the order, but I do know one was regret. I think that's the first one.
That's the second one.
Second.
Yeah. So the very first force.
Would it be
Is-
renunciation?
No, it's it's the basis force, foundation force. So it's basically thinking about karma and emptiness, taking refuge in karma and emptiness, knowing that that is the only thing that's going to help you. You know, nobody can do anything for you. Try to see the emptiness of the situation, and try not to recreate this new projection that's gonna hurt you. Right? So that's the real protection. And the Buddha can't do anything other than teach you. You have to do this. You have to. There's stories of Lord Buddha where his whole family got killed that are right standing beside Lord Buddha. There's nothing he can do about it. Okay, so you have to apply this wisdom, which will be the thing that saves you. So that's the first force. So say you're doing something bad. Okay. Say I'm cutting somebody off in traffic. Okay. So what can I do first? It's the basis, the foundation force. So describe that to me, Turnjeet. What I'm cutting off somebody in traffic. What would be the basis force? What can I think about that?
So I cut someone off in traffic. I'm gonna get cut off in traffic with someone else in life.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not helping other people where they want to go. Okay. So if you would do the opposite, if you would let everybody in, you're helping everybody get to where they go, which would be a cause for enlightenment, right? Because now you're going to be able to get where you want to go, which is become a Buddha, just by simply letting other people in traffic, right? So the second step of the 4 forces is what Turnjeet mentioned, regret. And they say intelligent regret. So there's a difference between feeling guilty about something and then having intelligent regret. Guilty, apparently there's no word in Tibetan for it. It doesn't even exist. Okay. Because it doesn't serve you. Intelligent regret, yeah. You can feel like, I should not have done that, And the example that they often give that I've heard over the years is you drink a glass of something and afterwards you find out it was a glass of poison. And just that feeling of, I should not have done that, It's not guilt, it's not anger or whatever. It's just like, I should not have done that. That's not going to help out, like that. So that's kind of the feeling that you try to create is that regret. The third force to destroy these karmas is you restraint. You won't do it again. So I'm cutting off somebody in traffic. I go over karma and emptiness about the situation. Then I feel sorry that I've done that, because that's not going to help create a Buddha paradise by acting in that way. So you feel sorry for the people you let down. then you're going to restrain yourself. So say next time I'm going in traffic, I'm going to try to act the opposite. I'm going to try to let other people, well, restraint would be actually, I'm just not going to cut people off, okay? And put a time limit on that. Okay, I'm not going to cut people off for the next day. Do something that you're able to do. If I know I'm going to be cutting people off, a few days from now, don't, because if you then do it, then you're making yourself a liar too, and then you get the karma for being a liar. Okay, so you got to do something that you'll be able. Maybe it's setting a limit for 10 minutes. That's great. Okay, I'm not going to cut people off for 10 minutes. I can do it, And of course, this counts for everything. If you feel anger towards whatever, someone at your job, whatever, you restrain yourself for an amount that you can do. Because if you don't, then you got the added karma of lying. So you don't want that. So this is not how you create a new habit, right, in your mind by doing this. So then the fourth one is an antidote. So do something to make up for what you did. In the case of cutting somebody off, the antidote would be, of course, I'm going to let everybody in that looks like they want to get in. The highest antidote would always be do meditation, karma and emptiness, always highest antidote. But it's beautiful to act it out too. I had someone tell me that they bought something at the store and they didn't pay for a certain amount of it. And speaking to this person about it made them realize that they want to do something to counter that action because they're not happy about it. So then the next time this person goes into that store, bought a gift, offered it to someone who working there as an antidote to that former action. Beautiful, right? Because it forces you to really think about this a lot, putting a lot of, and it's like kind of opposite to what we normally would do, right? It makes you more aware, and it makes you think of other people. It's a nice practice, right? I think it's very beneficial.
Is there any area where it almost becomes foolish? Like with a guy outside asking for money, and is it foolish to give him too much? I don't know. Sometimes I feel like there's a fine line with being kind to being almost foolish.
Well, it's really, that's really depends on how you see that.
Okay.
There's not a rule about that. It's like how you perceive it and what you think. If it's always great when you don't feel like giving something to then counter that by giving something.
Yeah.
It's you don't need to get taken advantage of. Then maybe it's the best thing to give them less. If you give them $2 and they say, "Oh, I actually want $5." It's up to you. Your feeling in that moment. What is the most benefit for everybody?
Yeah, exactly.
In how I'm going to act right now, and that could be you giving him $50, and it could be, I'm sorry, this is all you're getting.
What's in everybody's best interest?
So what's in your mind about the whole situation? You just gotta investigate. That's the only way you can get the answer. Like, where is your resistance? Do you want to break that resistance? Then do the opposite. If you don't have resistance, but you just feel like, well, I'm giving him money, but he's just gonna buy crack, so I'm not gonna give him money. Then you gotta play it by. Yeah.
Mariska, I can share. This happened exactly yesterday, and so there was someone asking for money, and usually what I work through is, well, I'd like to give it to an agency that will help people who are recovering instead of helping them on the road, who are just there to, I feel sometimes to get a handout or to get their next hit. So I didn't want to help them with their habit. And so, but then I'll give them food.
Right.
So I offer, I said, would you like something? He goes, no, I really need money to go clean up. And then I reflected on, you know, I said, this is an empty experience. You know, I said, and I was going into foreign exchange to get money for our trip. And I was thinking, okay, well, you know what? I went back down, and then I gave him $20, and I said, actually, he said, I told him, I said, actually, you know what? I usually don't give it to people in the street. I usually like to give it to agencies. And he actually started. Then he goes, yeah, no, I've applied for housing. I'm second on the list, and he said, I'm just about to, but right now, it's hard to get in. And tonight, I'd like to go to the hostel at Jericho for my brother and I. And so he accepted the 20, and he was very grateful. He goes, you know, I'm clean, and I could actually see he actually was. He goes, I could just use, it would be good if I could just go right there right now. And so then I said, it's okay, so you're not using it for drugs? And he goes, no, I'd like to go clean up and have a warm place tonight. Doesn't matter what then I gave him more. And then I said, if you can make me the promise that you're not going to be buying it on, drugs. And he said, yeah, I'll give you my Scout's honor.
Yeah.
And then I kind of went, okay, because that's always my concern. I don't want to. I told my sons when I passed, I don't want to give it to the guy who's just going to go to the liquor store and then to help his habit. I'd rather give it to Union Gospel Mission, and then they can help people who need to. So it was
that's
a good,
beautiful.
it was because I was going, this is an empty experience. If I get this request, maybe I can address it, because I usually just try not to make contact, but I did, and then it came through this way, and I was like, oh, that's great.
I think it's really, really beautiful. It's nice to see things that happen like that, as it's special for you.
Yeah.
They're there for you to teach you something,
exactly,
right?
Yeah. I could have just walked away after, but
Instead of seeing them as outside of you, as some beggar, and with your story attached to that, see what is it that they have in store for me. Yeah.
On the same, and it has come to me many times before, same track of thinking, but different. I remember I was in Squamish with a friend, and we were at the gas station, and this fellow came up to us in the car and asked for money. And my girlfriend said, well, what do you need the money for? And he said, I have to buy food and so forth. And she's like, well, you're not going to spend it on drugs. And he said, no, I'm not going to. And she looked at me and she said, well, she goes, I'm going to do this for you. She had a $20 bill. She goes, I'm going to give you this money. And she goes, he's like, I'll pay you back. And she's like, you know what? She said, I don't care if you pay me back or not, but I'm going to give you my address. And I just was watching all this go on. I'm just sort of like an observer in the background. I'm just watching. And she gave him the 20, and she gave him her address. She never got anything back from him ever. And I knew that, but I didn't say anything to her in that situation. I was kind of at awe of just watching it. No doubt of a lie, less than a year later, she was looking for a place to buy in Squamish. She found this place for this amazing deal. She sold it last year with her partner. She had met a fellow up. She was single. She met a fellow up there. Sold it for like way over in less than 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Bought this old rundown house with an acreage because she's starting a bee business up there. And I'm just looking at all of this and I'm thinking, what? Ow. How? And she practices, but in different ways, but same linear thinking. And that story always stuck with me.
Yeah, it's beautiful. When you are practicing generosity, then you will be prosperous yourself, right? Yeah, it has to. So we're almost done here. So these are the 4 things, okay? The 4 forces. So force of foundation. What's the next one?
Regret, intelligent regret.
Intelligent regret. then restraint, and antidote. Okay, so this is what you can do at any time when you have done something that you regret, you know. And I like this story. There's this friend of Gashmakaroj, and he was in Vietnam, and he sprayed machine gun fire in the night, and he's like, I don't know if I killed anybody, and he came to Ken Rinpoche, and what can I do? You know, I may have killed people, I don't know. So, and then Ken Rinpoche said to him, okay, I want you to, I know your dad has 2 sheep in the backyard, and he's going to kill them for food or whatever. I want you to buy these sheep and care for them as an antidote to maybe killing people, right? So he bought these sheep of his dad, and he cared for them. And sheep, apparently, or maybe these ones, I don't know if they all lived so long, but they lived for 18 years. So yeah, he cared for them as an antidote, and that's, I like that. That's beautiful. It's beautiful. So if you do these forces, if you do them correctly, it is stated in the sutras that it's stated by Lord Buddha himself that if you do these forces properly, then a karma which would have taken you to lower realms now is simply a headache. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So it's transformed into long time in very miserable places to having just a headache. So that's purification. If you do a good purification, you could go around and get a lot of headaches. It's worth it, right? It's worth it. So then in the last thing on the page on the reading, it says that any son or daughter, I think, who studies this will have to suffer intensely. Okay.
What?
Anybody who would study this would suffer intensely.
Not daughter or son, did you say?
Yeah, well, yeah. Any son or daughter of the noble family. So anybody of us who would study this can potentially suffer a lot. And why would that be, you know? That's because you're, what?
Ripen it quickly so you
Yeah.
can go on to next.
Yeah, you're purifying. You're bringing it on.
Without suffering, then there's no purpose. It's the only way to move through it. You
Yeah.
have to
You have
understand
to.
the suffering.
You have to understand where it's coming from and see it as purification. It's beautiful, you know. Beautiful.
Well, and, I think the homework for last week was just asking, did that Buddha feel pain when he was having his fingers cut off?
Mhm.
And it is yes, he does.
Mhm.
So too, the meditation is every day to think of that, to embrace your suffering during the day.
Mm-hmm. The difference, though, is that he didn't have mental suffering, physical.
Just the physical.
Yeah.
That still hurts.
But do we still know? We don't know. Maybe he didn't suffer.
We don't know.
Maybe he
We
didn't
don't
feel the pain.
It's
It just
possible.
looked to us like he did.
I think it was stated that he did
Yeah.
have pain.
Oh.
But you're right. I mean, it
Yeah.
could be, you know, I've seen it with my Lama where he's had like massive cuts on his arm, and I asked him, you know, did it hurt? I don't feel it. So how does that work? So it's very possible that yeah, somebody would get their fingers cut off and they don't even feel it. Or maybe they pretend to feel, or whatever. We don't know. You only know your own mind, so you don't know what they feel. But I think the purpose of the story, you know, is to understand the emptiness in that moment, and that there's no point in being angry because you've brought it on yourself. So you're purifying this, and it's a good thing. So then the very last thing that they mention in the reading is that any space where the sutra is taught is holy ground, and I've left in the reading for a second. Any place where the sutra is taught thereby becomes a place worthy of the offerings and prostrations of all living beings in the entire world. Because we're trying to perfect our perfection of wisdom, right? We're purifying great non-virtuous karma to quickly achieve the enlightenment of Buddha. Yeah, I like that a lot. So yeah, that's class.
Well, I have to thank you for the motivation for cleaning. That's very profound for me because really, I never understood even why I should.
Yeah. Wow. Great. Wonderful. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Sashi Pukim Judging Meto Tramri Rabling Shi Yen Degen Party Sange Shindu Mikte Uwa Nido Kunanda Shingla Chupasho Yenguru Namalakam Yatayani Keyo Sulam Yeshe Soshi Sulam Yeshe Leishun Dampa Kuni Topasho. You're welcome. Thank you.
So I'll see some of you in the next
Okay.
ACI.
We'll do that. Yeah. Have a wonderful trip. Where are you going, Robin?
Nice.
And I'll be watching this and trying to
Oh.
keep up with you guys.
Are you